Hello, I'm Stephanie Brantz. Welcome to the Veneto Club for this women's basketball match where the Bulleen Boomers host Bendigo Spirit. Well, last year's runner-up Bulleen were out-muscled by Dandenong in their opening match, but Bendigo had the ideal start, beating both Adelaide and West Coast to start their season. So this one should be an absolute belter. Let's get underway. Bulleen and Bendigo, round 2 of the WNBL.
Beautiful footwork. Richards, super aggressive. Oh, hey, great composure there in front. Well, the Veneto Club has been a fortress for the Bulleen Boomers over the last 4 years, which has seen them go to 4 grand finals in the Women's National Basketball League. Their loot has been 1 championship. We see the banner hanging over there in the corner, and they're hoping to get their season's campaign to a winning start today. They lost last week, of course, to the Dandenong Rangers, but are hoping to defeat the Bendigo Spirit. Hello and welcome, everyone. Laurie Chiswick alongside me, Darren Boyd. And Laurie, this is a venue that won't hold any fears for the Bendigo Spirit.
Well, it won't, Darren, because historically they haven't had any problems against Bulleen. In fact, last year in this very venue, they beat them twice.
They did, and the crowd are always passionate here. They show up every Friday night, every Sunday afternoon, the 2 most popular times for Bulleen games. They come in, they cheer loudly, they eat the sponsors' product, and they enjoy themselves. But the Spirit have found a way to win where a lot of other sides haven't been able to. I wonder if that's got something to do with the experience in this Bendigo lineup.
Well, certainly it, you know, with the likes of Christy Harrower, Gab Richards, that they are very experienced. And the heights never bother them either. They've usually been a bit smaller, and which is the case in this game today, but it's not going to worry them one little bit.
Well, we hope for a good game in this Women's National Basketball League Round 2 match. Wherever you're watching us, you might be watching us on a Saturday afternoon on ABC television, or alternatively, you might be watching the live stream, and we are on every Friday night. A new era for the WNBL coverage. We're on live streaming every Friday night on ABC Grandstand. And of course, you want to stay in contact with us right throughout the season. Make sure you get in contact with us via Twitter at ABCWNBL, and that is the hashtag for this particular match. Well, both the Bendigo Spirit and the Bulleen Boomers have undergone pretty significant roster changes in the off-season, Laurie. Even though it's round 2, we thought it best to remind our viewers of exactly what's happened with these 2 teams in the off-season. The Bendigo lineup is a little bit different. We'll come to them in a moment. Firstly, what about the Boomers?
Well, significance out in Liz Cambridge, Sam Richards both going to Europe. But, you know, in there comes the likes of Holly Florence, Emma McDonald, Emma Randall from the past, and Tess Madgen. What good replacements.
Tess Madgen and Chantella Pereira effectively changing places as we have a look at the Bulleen lineup. At the Bendigo lineup, rather, the Bendigo changes. We see that Chantella Pereira has come into that side along with Renee Camino and a couple of big outs, Madgen herself and Deanna Smith.
Well, certainly it's like a swap for scorers with Renee Camino and Deanna Smith. Deanna, we know, moving to the West Coast. But again, they brought in some good players. They're waiting on an American to come still, and they'll be fine.
Renee Camino, we see there in the background, sadly not playing tonight due to a calf injury. We hope to see her back in this Bendigo lineup in a couple of weeks. She will be extremely potent for the Spirit when she finally hits the floor. All right, let's look at the lineups, Laurie. The Bulleen Boomers, they were disappointed to lose to Dandenong last week by 15 points. Tess Madgen took a lot of the responsibility running the point. She's going to have to do it again.
She certainly is, Darren, and we don't know if number 6, Karen Harrington, is going to see any minutes tonight as a backup point guard. But, you know, the bulk of the work is falling on Rachel Jerry and Alice Kunick, and certainly we need to see their bigs in Florence and McDonald step up.
That will be their advantage, you feel, that extra size. But as you mentioned before, Bendigo hasn't had too many issues. Gabe Richards is able to handle all types, and it's such a great lineup. Christy Harrower is obviously the star.
Well, other than Chantella Pereira, that is such a settled lineup over the years, Darren, that group, and so they know each other inside out. And what a great lineup to start with.
All right, Christy Harrow, the emotion of that Olympics campaign. She bowed out with her 4th medal in 4 campaigns at the Olympic Games. Will that be forgotten by now?
Well, I'm sure it's not forgotten, but you know what? She'll be thinking of other things right now. She loves her Bendigo spirit. She loves playing with them. She's very relaxed this year, and you know, she showed that last weekend when she got some great things.
There's Elise Penaluna, her first game back since the grand final victory 18 months ago. We'll talk a bit more about her shortly. So the round 2 match between the Bendigo Spirit and the Bulleen Boomers is underway. Gabe Richards won the tip, but it's controlled by the Boomers. Who do you think's going to win, Laurie? I get the feeling the Bendigo start slight favourites.
Well, they would, given their form from last weekend and given Bulleen's form, which really wasn't that impressive. Nice start for the Boomers.
Rachel Jarry with the basket inside. The assist from Alice Koenig. Here's Chelsea Aubry, another player, freshman Olympic campaign. She, of course, played for Canada. Swarming defense for the Boomers. Unfortunately for Alice Koenig, she just stepped out of court.
As soon as that ball was even looking at going inside, left her fingertips, they were double teaming it.
Harrower can shoot that long 3, chooses to get to the rack, can't score. Early turnover. Bernie Harrower, a long-time coach of the Spirit, their only coach in their short WNBL history, wanted a foul called. But you can't afford to worry about these things for too long, Laurie, because quickly down the other end,
right.
Rachel Jarry's looking to score within about 7 seconds.
She did a good job of taking it to the basket. Just seeing that split-second driving lane open, and Chantella Pereira got called for her first foul.
Super player Jarry. We speak about her every time we have a Bulleen match. Makes the back end. She has all 3 points in the match. Freezing cold conditions here in Melbourne today. We're both reaching for the jackets. It won't be too bad for the players, though, I suspect, Laurie. We know that in summer, the height of summer, venues like this can really heat up, and in particular the Veneto club here can be extremely humid and uncomfortable for the players. I think they'd prefer it this way.
Well, it's actually certainly the players on court, they're fine. It's a challenge for the ones on the bench. We see Rachel Jarry, just before I continue, making a great flex cut and finish off that. She's starting very well.
So Jarry with all 5 points, and the assist on that occasion coming from McDonald. Pereira, athletic.
That was very good defense from Alice Koenig, and a nice finish from Pereira.
They would have gone at each other quite a bit in training over the last 12 months or so. Well done by Richards. There's a foul on Koenig, challenging her for that rebound. She's hard to move, Gabe Richards, when she establishes that position, and she does it so well.
She does, Darren. She really uses her body well. She's so intelligent. She knows exactly when to seal, what angles to get, and you know, she's rewarded with teammates that can get her the ball, and in that case, she got a good rebound there.
This is going to be a fascinating battle. Richards against Florence. The double team came, but Gabe Richards again, too good. Excellent position. Bendigo with back-to-back baskets in the match. Florence from long range. We were calling her Holly Grimer last week. The information has been updated, and including her shirt. She's now Holly Florence, her married name. She's being led a merry dance by Christy Harrower. Eventually ends up with Wilson. Aubry kept it alive.
And we can expect to see a lot of three-point shooting, Darren, from this Bendigo group. They're renowned for putting up the threes and, you know, shooting it at a pretty good clip.
They're one of the most prolific three-point shooting teams in the competition last year. In fact, they shot more than any other team. Kelly Wilson's already had a couple of cracks at it, and Richards again. She had 22 rebounds across the 2 matches last weekend. Here's Pereira, not a noted three-point shooter.
Well, and I noticed in her stats last week, she really didn't shoot the ball very well, and it's something she's getting the opportunity right now while Renee Camino's on the bench, so she'll, you know, she'll want to try and make those baskets.
A couple couple of wind sprints from both sides, and Christy Harrower just wants to calm things down. Now, Aubrey's a gun from beyond the arc. That's what she does best, and Bendigo have scored 7 in a row to take the lead.
Don't you think, Darren, that Chelsea Aubrey looks really fit coming into this season off of a great Olympic campaign with Canada?
I agree, Laurie. She looks a lot fitter than she did, I reckon, at this stage 12 months ago. And I wonder if it'll show up in her play. She was probably a little bit disappointed with her year last year, but they have invited her back. She's a part of the fabric with the Bendigo Spirit, her 4th season. It's a long time for an import. Harrower.
Both teams are really executing well and getting open looks.
Imagine. Jarry with the rebound. Can't get the finish. And it's a very similar start to what we saw last week, Laurie, in the Bulleen Dandenong game, where the Signs are getting up and down the court. You commented last week that they executed really well.
Early on they did, and hopefully we can see that continue the rest of this game. We've got some early subs for Bulleen with, surprisingly, young Steph Collins is on the court.
Again, they run the...
That flex cut, Darren, is really hurting Bendigo, and Rachel Jarry does it better than anybody. She cuts so hard.
So Jarry with 7 of the 9 points for the Boomers. And she's got a steal, or she's at least created one. It'll probably be credited to Kunik in the end, but it was created by Jarry. Unfortunately, Collins just dropped it when she was in good position. But she had the presence of mind not to panic, and she kept it alive. It's going to be a Bulleen ball. There's Elise Penaluna. Great to see her back, Laurie.
Oh, Darren, it's so exciting. And I spoke to her strength and conditioning coach, Darren Immis, and he's worked with her, and he said she is so strong right now. She's just doing PBs in the gym and really looking good.
And that's what she does so well on the basketball court, and she can't hide the smile from her face. And we're going to get an interesting storyline about Elise Penaluna coming into this match. Her first back after a knee reconstruction. She hasn't played in the WNBL since Bulleen won the championship 18 months ago.
She would be both nervous and excited.
As would somebody sitting at the other end of the court, I imagine, Laurie. We'll come to that when we get a chance. Elise Penaluna shooting from range, can't finish. And halfway through the opening period, it's Bulleen leading by 4. Offensive foul on Richards. Bernie Harrower can't believe it.
Yeah, she just stepped into her. She was still moving when that Christie started to take her dribble.
Because, of course, you need to be absolutely stationary when you make that contact. So Gabe Richards sits down. I think that's only her first personal foul, so it's probably a scheduled rest for her, and Rachel Herrick is into the game. She won't want to be chasing Penaluna around out on the perimeter. Elise with a few early nerves. She does. She sort of shook her head after she took that shot. There's Hayley Munro entering the game for Bendigo. Don't know a lot about her, Laurie. I might have to defer to you, given you've coached her. We'll get some thoughts on Hayley in a moment. Herrick with a good offensive rebound keeps it alive for Bendigo. They haven't scored for a little while.
You can see Bendigo already have taken 6 threes.
And only 2 for the Bulleen side, and another offensive foul. This time it's called on Rachel Herrick. So Bendigo have got to be careful. That one pretty clear.
Yeah. The thing is that, I mean, I give them credit. At least they're headhunting their screens. They're going after them hard. Now they just have to make sure their feet are set.
Nice dish from Jarry. McDonald couldn't make the basket. Harrower wants to slow it down and run something. Christy Harrower and Kelly Wilson will probably be the focal points of the offense in this stage of the game for Bendigo. Here's Wilson. She's wide open.
Yeah, you cannot leave her wide open anywhere. In the corner, at the top of the key, she is going to shoot that, and she's going to nail that.
Kelly Wilson's first basket of the match. Well done by Tess Madgen. Gee, Bendigo knew how to scout anybody. It beat Tess Madgen. She's been their most valuable player the last 2 seasons. Moving to Melbourne now to play with the Bulleen Boomers, and I imagine the biggest enticement of her move, or the biggest thing to entice her to move, would have been the fact she could play under the great Tom Mahon.
Well, you have to look at his track record, as we mentioned, and the fact that Rachel Jerry was an Olympian under him, and Elise certainly was grooming herself a chance that she could. So he's a developer of young players. And there we see Karen Harrington entering the game after a long absence as well with injury.
After Tess Madgen takes a seat. And so it's going to be a Bendigo ball from the end. And there's Tess Madgen having a rest for Bulleen,
which she really didn't get much of last weekend.
Is Madeline Garrick, another youngster in her first season with Bendigo, out of the AIS. Harrower for 3. Well done by Garrick to run that down. 13-9, Bulleen leading. They led at a similar stage last week to Dandenong. Well done by Allen, blocking Harrower from behind. She's got perhaps the longest wingspan in the competition, even though she only stands at 185 centimetres tall.
I think Christy was a little bit surprised when that got stripped from her.
Miss Harrington will never die wondering. Catch and shoot, beautiful rhythm. That will fill her with confidence. So good for Bulleen. They're 2 injured. They're 2 players returning from injury, Harrington and also Penaluna, both scoring with their first touches. Munro looking a bit awkward going left. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Garrick looking good.
Had to really shoot that with a lot of arc to get over some hands. Nice little change of pace by Garrick.
Quick first quarter here, no timeouts, not many fouls. 2 minutes remaining in the opening stanza. Well done by Harrington, turning the corner. Couldn't get it to go. Aubrey looks inside at Herrick, not even close. Penaluna coming across and slapping it away from her. She was off balance.
She's having some good minutes, Elise. Well, now we see her exiting the court for a much needed rest. I'm sure her match fitness will take a little while to come back, but she was good.
And she goes right down the bench with the high five. She must be happy. 1:44 to go until quarter time. Bulleen by 5. Munro's open. Well done by Herrick. Fresh 24 seconds. Christy Harrower having a break, so Kelly Wilson's in control. She's trying to create. Florence. Pretty comfortable shooting that over a hand.
A lot of poise by Holly. She looked at the cutter first, and she was looking at different options, realized that she had that shot.
She's a world champion, Holly Florence. Been a brilliant player, former league MVP. Bernie Harrow is being told to keep it down. He's actually got the call here. The foul was assessed against Beck Allen. So I'm not sure what Bernie was complaining about. We're very close to him. With the cans on, it's a bit hard to actually eavesdrop on what he's complaining about, Lauren.
There's a mismatch there. Oh, bad pass, good recognition. Gabe Richards had Beck Allen well and truly sealed under the basket, just the pass went too far.
Bulleen by 7. Close to quarter time, under a minute. McDonald looking inside. Chooses to go to the perimeter. Skip pass for Ellen. She took a skip.
You can still see that Bulleen's offense isn't quite in sync. You know, they're just look like they're missing a couple of cuts in there, and you know, that'll all fall into place. This is only week 2.
Well, only 2 players on the court at the moment were part of Bulleen's team last year. And Gabe Richards will get the bonus. And you compare that, that must be a massive adjustment, Laurie. I mean, pre-season training is one thing, but you can't get the same rhythm as you develop during matches and when you're playing each other in competitive matches rather than just warm-up matches.
Well, that's why I think Bendigo have such an advantage over other teams because they've had a group together for so long. They know each other. They know their, you know, the strengths and weaknesses. So they develop these relationships, these two-man games, and they can read each other really well. That takes a while, and other teams will get better at that. But that's why I'm sure Bendigo are thinking it's really important they win these early games.
1.6 seconds to go in the quarter. Bendigo with the ball. Will it go to Aubry outside or Richards inside?
Nice play.
Gabe Richards finishes it off inside. And the quarter ends on a high for the Bendigo Spirit. Back-to-back baskets to that lady has her happy. And we'll see it again. The lob pass was executed to perfection. They cleared out and gave her the space. And they score the last 4 points of the term to cut the margin to just 3. The Bulleen Boomers 18, Bendigo 15 at quarter time at the Veneto Club. Pretty entertaining opening quarter, Laurie Chiswick. I really enjoyed that.
Well, there were lots of different aspects of that game. I thought that it started out fairly quickly, that both teams looked like they were running and scoring, you know, the first few baskets each relatively easy. Rachel Jerry started on fire, I think, scoring their first 5 points. And then from outside, Chelsea Aubry. Then it went into a bit of a phase where I thought there was a lot of work for not a lot of reward. Up and down, some easy baskets being missed. And then they settled into their offenses, and we got some good looks at the basket.
We did, and Gabe Richards was involved. I think that's a thing that both sides were able to get plenty of people involved with the offensive end, which is always important for their confidence. And Bendigo not shooting the ball as well as Bulleen in the opening quarter, and boy, have they been blazing away from the perimeter.
Well, they certainly have. 1 from 8 they wouldn't be that pleased with, but that's the nature of this team. They're going to live and die by that 3-point line, and you know, they'll continue to put those shots up.
Bendigo coach Bernie Harrower would be pretty happy with the fact that they lead the rebound count. Not always a strength of Bendigo's. They were thrashed by Adelaide. They were 13 rebounds. They had 13 rebounds fewer than the Lightning last week. Still got the win, but it is something that his team needs to, I guess, be really competitive in and be motivated and inspired to go after the balls.
Well, especially those offensive rebounds, Darren. When you have a team that's not as particularly tall, then to get those extra offensive rebounds and get a second chance opportunity is a real bonus.
So the Bulleen Boomers making their way out to the court. Bernie Harrower with some final words. What would he be saying, Laurie?
Well, I think he's just giving them some instructions as to what he wants to run against this group, and maybe you look at a different structure at the beginning of the next quarter. Okay, let's now run a high on-ball screen, or let's do, you know, and so he'd be just going through that.
So the second quarter is underway. Bulleen 18, Bendigo 15. Round 2, Women's National Basketball League action from the Veneto Club in Bulleen. Harrower for the triple.
Good blocking out by Bulleen because it was such a shot from far away. It was a long rebound and they were able to secure it. And then Rachel comes down the other end, scores a nice easy basket.
Rachel Jarry, 9 points. She has not missed. Bendigo, 9 3-point attempts. Just 3 for the Boomers, which is something I imagine that Bulleen would have spoken about during the week, because they went a bit crazy in the second quarter last week when they were right in the game against Dandenong, but then they just kept firing away these poor, rushed 3-point shots, and none of them were going in, Laurie. And I imagine that that's something that Tom Maher would have said to his girls during the week. Listen, we don't need to just be blazing away like that.
Absolutely, and you can tell they've only had the three shots from beyond the arc, and they look much more settled in what they're doing, and they're actually trying to execute something.
seconds on the shot clock. They've got to get busy. Wilson will go herself or not. Dishes to Aubrey. Richards is there to clean it up. She was blocked from behind by Penaluna. The athleticism of Elise Penaluna is a real problem, and she beats Richards down the floor. No good complaining about the call. Elise Penaluna just wanted it more.
Wow, she really ran that floor well and right to the point of the ring where she should be. Made a good target, and they got her the ball inside.
So she'll go to the line for a pair. Now tell us, Laurie, about Elise's relationship with the Bendigo Spirit side at the moment.
That's a fairly leading question there, Darren.
Well, here she is. She's playing for Bulleen.
She's playing for Bulleen, and Jonathan Goodman is one of the assistant coaches for Bendigo, and they're engaged.
There is Jonathan just there, the third man from the right. Elise's partner, I'm sure, would have had some nervous moments at the start of this game. I'm sure he's hoping... Well, how would you feel? I can't even imagine. It would be a very bizarre feeling.
Well, I'm sure they must have some arrangements where they don't talk tactics in Bulleen and Bendigo when they're playing each other during the week.
And here is Elise, unable to finish.
I'm sure part of him, a big part of him, is really pleased that Elise is back on the court, as is everybody.
Beautiful pass from Harrower to Aubrey. She had to shoot again. High-arcing shot over her hand, but it was delightful execution. The margin back to 3 where it was at quarter time. Well done by Koenig. She was really aggressive attacking that. She's upset with herself. She marks herself pretty hard, Alice Koenig. I'm not saying it's improper. I'm not saying it's wrong, Laurie. I just noticed that she gets really, really angry with herself at times on the court.
Well, she just works so hard, and I think she, her expectation is pretty high as to, if she gets the ball in that position, then she wants to finish that. She feels she should be finishing it.
Tess Madgen feels like she can finish from anywhere. 5-point lead to the Boomers. Beautiful shot from Madgen, the South Australian who's spent the last couple of years in Victoria. Pereira not quite quick enough to get past Koenig, but the pressure that her leg speed creates forced Koenig into a foul.
And that's the challenge for Alice, playing in that 3 spot and defending on the perimeter, and somebody that's as quick as Pereira, is to make sure that her foot speed can match theirs, and she can defend on the perimeter.
A couple of personal fouls for Koenig. She's going to have a seat. She's being spoken to by Coach Tom Maher, as is Holly Florence. Chantella Pereira playing with her 4th team in 4 years. She was with Bulleen last year, Dandenong the year before, and Canberra prior to that. Another one of yours, Laurie.
Well, nice cut from the corner, and Beck, she's just got that shooter's mentality, and she caught that in rhythm and was never not going to shoot that.
Kelly Wilson likewise.
Right back at you.
High quality game here. Trust you're enjoying the coverage on ABC Grandstand. Whether you're watching it on a Saturday afternoon on ABC television or on a Friday night live streaming right around the country on ABC Grandstand's website. Harrower, wow.
Well, Chantella Pereira is the one that initiated that that fast break, and Christy thought she could get away with it by saying that Beck Allen. Do you think she did?
Well, she threw it into Beck Allen. It's like throwing it to a teammate and they dropped it. That's not a travel. Laurie Chiswick's gone silent. She generally only does that when she thinks she's lost an argument. So we'll have another look at it when our producers get a chance, and we'll see. Bulleen leading by 4. Wilson looking inside. Penaluna is dangerous from a defensive perspective.
Oh, great pass by Gab Richards. Just her peripheral vision to see Chantella Pereira wide open.
Really like it when Gabe Richards gets involved at the offensive end for Bendigo. Can create, as we just saw then, good pressure at the defensive end by Wilson. Well done by Allen to keep it alive. Athletic manoeuvre. Karen Harrington directing traffic.
That's the sort of thing that Beck Allen continues to do things like that. She'll get the court time because that's so necessary to come up with that offensive rebound.
Loose ball. It's going to be a Bendigo ball after McDonald lost the scrap. Let's have a look at this play here. Harrower gets in the air, and then she dropped it into Beck Allen's leg. The question is, did she release it before she hit the ground?
Well, yeah, and because she was in the air when she did that, I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I would have thought it was fairly cut and dried. If she didn't release it before she hit the ground, then she's gone. That's travel.
Yeah.
But if she did, I would have thought it's just play on, to use the football parlance. Oh, Harrower breaks the legs of a couple. Oh, spectacular.
Vintage Christy Harrower going to the basket.
And what about that down the other end?
Again, such good use of the body by Elise Panaluna and such a target inside.
A great pass from Harrington. Travelling violation called, and a timeout now called by Tom Maher and the Bulleen Boomers. Before we get to that, well, that's that last one with Harrower. We might check out. This is so impressive. She got the screen and she just zigzagged through like a Formula One driver.
Four players that she got through.
Magnificent stuff. Bendigo trailing Bulleen by 4 though. 4.5 to go in the second quarter.
She wasn't past me, so we have to. She needs to Randy for a shot. Find the balance.
Who's Harrington playing on? You? We're in head tap. We're in head tap. All right. We're in head tap. You'll be on the weak side lifting. Okay. You'll be lifting on that. So run it here, and if they switch and get 2 people on the game going there, Christy's just going to set the screen and pop. We go there and still go into game on that, okay? Or we got the jump shot just there. Yeah, high-low, yeah, and do high-low after that, okay? Hey, look, we're just trading baskets with them at the moment. We need to make sure we can get some stops defensively.
How do we get a stop? We don't block out.
No.
So we only block out.
Yeah. Hey, you got to find people. If you don't want to block out, come and sit on the bench here. All right. Make sure we get a block out and push the ball a little bit more. Let's see if we can get something in transition. All right.
So Bulleen leading at home at the Veneto Club, 30-26. 4.5 minutes to go in the second. Tom Maher has just been speaking to his team. I wonder what he would have had to say. There's a lot of emphasis on defense from Bendigo at the moment. Alice Koenig executes well out of the timeout. You coaches always love that, Laura, don't you?
You do, because you draw a play up on the board. You know it's going to a specific player is going to shoot it. It was definitely looked like it was designed for Alice Koenig there. So yeah, it's always a good thing. Shows that the players are at least listening to you.
Scramble of bodies underneath, and it ends up with Gabe Richards going to the free throw line. Oh no, it's going to be a baseline ball. Wholesale changes for Bulleen. Harrower now with the ball for Bendigo. They trail by 6. 4 minutes to go in the quarter. Pereira ran into a dead end. She can do that every now and then. Gets carried away, gets into motion and has to stop and find something. On that occasion, it was good that she found Harrower.
She's getting better, though, I think, Darren, when you look at her decision-making out there. And, you know, she's got such speed and she can get to the basket. It's just sometimes at the end.
So we're just waiting for Christy Harrower to shoot some free throws. As we do, the referee's just telling Tom Maher to be quiet now, Laura. Both coaches being spoken to. John Chapman it was on that occasion. in his WNBL debut. He's got a good support crew in as well. They came up and spoke to me before the game, cheering him on. Todd Spain and Melissa Andriola, the other referees in charge of this match. Emma McDonald, formerly Emma Randall, of course, misfired that pass to Florence. It's going to be a Bendigo ball. So the turnover's pretty low, just 5 each, but you just feel like Bendigo might have that little bit extra at the defensive end. They've just got to keep executing like that at this end.
That was great recognition. Gabe Richards cutting to that sweet spot in the key on a penetration and just, you know, being able to finish so easily.
Gabe's the first player to double figures. She's got 10. Jarry's got 9. They've come in a rush. And I reckon she'll go to the line for a couple.
Again, right idea by Haley Munro to come across it to the split line and help. Just that little bit later, feet weren't set again.
A timeout called by Bernie Harrower and the Bendigo Spirit. 3 minutes remaining in this opening half. Great game. Trust to enjoy the coverage on Grandstand. Bulleen lead it by 2. Going to try and listen to what Tom Maher has to say. You see him addressing his team. Here we go.
You've got to win your one-on-one battles, but if they're behind the baseline, they're levelled off. You don't need any help. Well, don't over-help. Do your job. It's just, you know, it's half-assed. It's wanting to win without doing the work. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Now, you've got to do the work. And look, you're going for big home run hits now. We need movement. Okay, when you get the home run, you take it. Other than that, don't force it. Get movement. Okay, so look, go to 85s. Listen, one time out. Go to 85s, okay? Now, if it's a zone, the post player sitting the first one is going to come and catch it, all right? And this man would run 85, okay?
Yeah, let's go, guys. Make sure we go.
So the Bulleen Boomers are still a pretty young side. And at the moment, they've got Rachel Jarry, who's 20 years of age. They've got Tess Madgen, who's 22. It's actually one of their more experienced lineups out on the court at the moment. Emma McDonald and Holly Florence have both been to Olympic Games. But I guess Tom Maher is always trying to teach everyone something, isn't he, when he's talking to them in timeouts and at training and everything else, Laurie?
Well, he is, and you know, it's good to see this range of players on the court, and the younger players learn from those older players. And to see, you know, Funda out there in the first half is a great thing for her. Good experience. She came on the court last week and did a good job for them.
You're referring to number 4, who's just out of shot, Funda Nakasoglu, who was, you're right, did a couple of nice things in the game against Dandenong. She's a point guard. A youngster, Bulleen Jr. She's guarding Christy Harrower. Imagine how nervous she'd be.
Well, they're in a zone, a bit of a matchup zone.
They caught a bit out of position now, scrambling a little, Bulleen, but Wilson can't make them pay. Jarry looking to push the ball. Good defensive transition from the Spirit. McDonald shuffled her feet. Couldn't finish. She's frustrated with herself.
Well, you'd have to say that Emma McDonald and Holly Florence really haven't had influences on the game last week or this week. And, you know, it'll probably take a little while. They have to just keep persevering, but it can be frustrating for them, I'm sure.
They're shooting the ball better, Bulleen, 50% to 34%, but Bendigo tie the ball game up on the back of that triple by Kelly Wilson because they've hit a couple more threes and they've created a few more opportunities for themselves. Bendigo haven't led since very early in the match. Jarry took a tumble, no surprise there, and the foul is called on her. Let's have another look at this. She's tangling with Munro, and she's just hooked her to the ground.
Arms again, Darren, that we talked about last week when they hook up and get caught under the arm and hold them.
Now, who did she get tangled up with last week? Was it, it was Krista Phillips, I think. at one point. Tough target to be taking on the Canadian centre. Munro aggressive. Can't finish. Well done by Penaluna. Imagine now. Controlling the ball, gets it to McDonald. The veteran had great position. Penaluna can't finish. Now quickly down the other way. What can Bendigo create? In the wings is Wilson. Harrow wanted to reset. Her teammates thought otherwise. And they're going to come up with it, which weighs the possession arrow going. It's going to be, well, sadly, a Bulleen ball. And again, this terrible rule continues.
Well, you'd have to say, Darren, that it certainly feels, the scores are tied, but to me it certainly feels like Bendigo's got the momentum right now. Things are sort of going their way.
Tom Mark calls his final timeout for this half. There's a minute 15 to go until half-time, but he obviously has a pretty important message to give his team now. Scores are level at the Veneto Club.
You can't have no one to guard. You can't, you've got to shift out. Like they run the guy, we've matched up there, they run the guy through here, this guy's got no one to guard. They've got to go, they've got to see that, come here and here. All right, now listen, go to man, now look here. Transition, run goal, okay? Okay, run goal, transition. Okay, then as plays, you can run 85 or head tap. Run head tap if you do it right. We just haven't done the thing right. Okay? Let's just run it with that here. Pop, make that catch there. And we've got an overload here. And then you got to hit the boards, ensure it. Okay? So right now it's goals. Okay? And we're in man. Okay?
Let's go, ladies.
So the team's returning to court, and it will be a Bulleen ball from the baseline at their defensive end of the court. Can they get a go-ahead basket close to half-time?
Looks like Bendigo have slipped into a zone.
Makes the basket. Kunig's hobbling. She hurt her ankle last week and she looks to be battling a little bit with that now, but
I don't know whether it was an ankle or she got a cork on that last when she tried to get through a screen.
She doesn't seem to be in too much discomfort. She's moving pretty freely now, so that's good to see. Single numbers on the shot clock. Pereira can't finish.
Good ball movement by Bulleen. They're being very patient in what they're doing.
Timeout called by Bernie Haraway. He's got one shot at a score in the last play of this first half. 13.7 seconds left. Bulleen led it by 2. Let's listen to the Bendigo play.
We're in here, but we want to run fist, but we want to do it fair way up the floor. We want to get...
We've got to get it over though.
Yeah. Hayley, you take the ball out of court. Is it M line?
Oh, okay.
Sideline.
I don't know.
Okay. Hayley, you take it out of court wherever it is. Christy, you're going to go and get it. Chelsea, set a screen in the middle of the floor, and we're running hard at this, and we're penetrating deep and looking at the shooters on the wing. So get Kelly and Shani to the wing, and you come down and trail, okay? You trail down into there, and same for you. You trail down into there.
I'm not going to go straight away. I might hold it there for like 2 or 3 seconds before I go, okay?
What is it? 13 seconds, okay. But come up and do it high. Christy start it around the centre line here, and then really do it with some speed, okay? What's the foul count? Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Well, with only one play remaining, I'm going to leave it to the coach to tell us exactly what Bendigo are going to do here. Laurie, that's you.
Well, they certainly want to get the ball, and you know, they've got 13.7 seconds, so Christie's wanted to get it. I would think they might look at a high on ball, although They're looking at just going flat, bringing Chelsea up for this on ball.
4 seconds to go. She's got to get busy. Pereira for 3.
Good look, good execution of what the coach probably would have asked them to do.
But it's half time. It's the old Operation Successful Patient Died, Laurie, because they didn't get the basket that they wanted. And at half time, the home side, the Bulleen Boomers, go in with a 2-point lead. So Bulleen 35, Bendigo 33. Thoroughly entertaining opening half of action here at the Veneto Club. And it was Rachel Jarry who again started the quarter in a blaze of glory after she started in similar fashion in the opening term. Gabe Richards had a big influence as well, Laurie. We'll have a closer look at her performance in a moment or two. But once again, both sides were able to get a spread of scorers at that offensive end.
I thought both teams got all their players involved, and whether that was running the floor, getting some shots up, defensively there was lots of talk and switching. I thought it was a pretty high quality quarter, Darren.
It did seem that way. We felt like Bendigo had a little bit more momentum, which seems odd, again, as we looked at the scoreboard. What was the big determinant in you coming to that view?
Well, I just thought, I'm not sure whether it's they actually had the ball in their hand a little bit more, but I just liked what they did. I liked the way they were moving it around as a team. Now, having said that, I thought Bulleen did a much better job than they did last week.
Let's have a look at the numbers, and there they are. So the field goal percentage, you're right, Laurie. When you look at that, 33% versus 50%, Bendigo obviously a fair way down, but they've had 10 more field goal attempts, which is evidence of what you were saying.
Well, in offensive rebounds, they've gotten 4 more offensive rebounds as well, so they're getting those second chance opportunities and being able to control the ball a bit more.
Here are the individual numbers. Jarry leading the way for Bulleen, 10 points and 6 rebounds. We'll highlight her in a moment. Tess Madgen's performance, Laurie?
I think much better than last week. She feels much more comfortable. Having said that, though, Bendigo aren't pressuring her up the full court, so she's got the luxury of bringing the ball down and setting things up.
And Elise Penaluna and Karen Harrington both returning to big-time play with pretty solid first halves. There's the spirit. Great to see Kelly Wilson there with 8 points. They need her to stay involved offensively if they're to win.
Well, certainly there's a little bit more of a spread with Richards and Wilson, and Christy Harrower only has her 4 points, but wow, she's still so important out there.
Just 1 of 6 from the field for Christy Harrower, and Chantella Pereira with the same numbers. I'm not sure that Bernie Harrower would have diagrammed that or noted that precisely in his pre-game talk. Before we talk more about Bendigo, Rachel Jarry. Now, we often talk about her. She's so important for this Bulleen side. It's going to be an interesting year for her. As an Olympian, as a champion with this team a couple of years ago, she needs to step up. She's going to be targeted by opponents every single week. She's been pretty good today.
Well, you know what, Darren? I don't think it will bother her that she is going to be a target. She has got such a high work rate on the court during trainings, during games, that she just gives it her all. She goes hard. We know that she throws her body on the line. We've seen that a few times tonight already, and I don't think that'll worry her.
Gabe Richards is such a target for the Bendigo Spirit inside. She's got 10 points in the opening half a dozen rebounds. If she can do this all year, they could be a serious threat comes finals time. And she's so efficient, Laurie, 56% from the field.
Well, she picks and chooses when she's going to score, and she doesn't sort of take a lot of outside shots, and she just uses her body brilliantly. And she is hard to move, as you said. She seals, she recognizes angles, she, points her teammates, and she makes some great assists too. She's got good peripheral vision, so I really like what Gab Richards does out there.
There she is with 10 points in the opening half, Gabe Richards. But I suppose it's a strange dichotomy. It's a strange situation for Bendigo when you've got Gabe Richards, who's so good inside and so efficient inside, versus the fact that, or when you parallel that with it, when you put that up against the fact that they shoot so many three-point shots. They've shot 12 in the opening quarter, 3 of 12, so they're just 25% from beyond the arc. What's the thinking in that strategy for the coaches?
Well, what a great luxury that is to have, because she is such a presence inside. The teams have to double and triple team her, so that does leave their perimeter players open. Plus, if you're shooting a long shot and you've got a great rebounder in there like Gab Richards to vacuum those shots up that miss, then it's a great combination to have.
All right, well, I'll ask you. In fact, we might put this question out on Twitter. At ABCWNBL is our Twitter handle. Use that hashtag to get our attention if you want to talk about this particular match. I want to know whether you think it frustrates the players as much as it frustrates me when you see all these three-point shots going up and so many of them are missing.
Well, Darren,
you know it's part of the game plan, but still.
It is part of the game plan, and if you look last week, they won 2 really close games, and they put up an amazing number of threes. So some people have those, that's their mentality, that's their strength. Kelly Wilson, that's her strength, is shooting those. They move the ball really well on the perimeter to be able to shoot those threes, so, you know, go for it.
Okay, there is the word from the coach. We'd love to get your thoughts on Twitter as well. All right, let's take a look around the league. We're going to have a quick look back at round 1, and then we're going to preview what's ahead in round 2. Well, we know the Dandenong Rangers defeated the Bulleen Boomers last Friday night. Our maiden voyage, it was, Laurie, on the Grandstand website as part of our new live streaming. And look, we've already spoken quite a bit about Bulleen, so we'll put them to one side and think about the Dandenong Rangers. And weren't they impressive? In particular, this young lady.
Well, they were impressive as a team, Darren, and their 2 youngsters in Sarah Blicklovs and Carly Mitrovic coming on the court and having such a big impact. They were exciting to watch.
And Sarah Blicklovs was the leading scorer for the match. She had 19 points. She was the most valuable player in the game in our eyes. They looked like a championship quality side again, and they've got Jenna O'Hay to come back into it this weekend. Bendigo defeating Adelaide. Look, this was such a super win. Bernie Harrow was overjoyed when we spoke about this before the game.
Well, to beat Adelaide anytime, but to beat them at their home, this is a tough road trip they went on, and to get that win in such a close game was fantastic.
And West Coast are going to be a lot better this year, we think. Deanna Smith gives them a real scoring punch. They've recruited well from other sides, and they jumped Bendigo. It was Bendigo just defensively in the second half that got the job done, and they had a 7-point win. A narrow win to Townsville, Laurie. They would have gone into that game as clear favourites, and perhaps surprising that Logan got that close.
Well, I must say I was surprised to see that it was just a 2-point game, and given all the new players that are around with Logan. And look at this next score with Canberra Capitals beating the Flames 74-61, and we must remember that that was out without Lauren Jackson, so they would have been, Coach Kerry Graff would have been pleased with that result.
And I think probably the thing she'd be most pleased about is that Jess Bibby seems to have returned to form. I mean, Bibby's been a champion player in this league for so many years now, and she seems to be in electrifying form again this year. She seems to be over a lot of injury problems, and we hope that Jess Bibby can continue to light it up in the WNBL this year. In fact, she's on court at the moment, or at least her team are, up in Townsville, and this is a really important game, Laurie. The Townsville Fire and the Canberra Capitals. Current score, it's just started around about 20 minutes ago, and Townsville leading Canberra 11-9.
It's always hard to win up in Townsville, so this is the start of Canberra's road double, and so they'll be really hoping for this victory.
They will be, and yeah, it's always, I guess as a coach, you'd probably like to get the harder game. Theoretically the harder game out of the way first, which that Townsville match is. They'll have to play Logan a little bit later this weekend. Let's have a look at what else is coming up this weekend in the WNBL. A bit later on tonight, the West Coast Waves will be hosting the Sydney University Flames. And the Flames, well, they're a little bit undermanned as well. Sarah Graham, they've recruited from Logan, Laurie, but she's not suiting up in this one.
Well, she's not, Darren, and that's a little bit of a loss for them. But, you know, I still think that Sydney will have the goods over West Coast. Dandenong
and Bendigo, well, it's hard to say a great deal about that other than the fact that Dandenong looked super last week and Bendigo will be tired after this engagement tonight. Adelaide and Sydney shapes as an interesting one. Jenny Screen, I think, Laurie, is returning for the Adelaide Lightning.
She will, and they'll welcome her back. She had a great Olympics, and she's just such a hard player and a player that, you know, you want in your lineup. And finally, rounding out the weekend is Logan versus Canberra, that second game for Canberra, and very much another big win that Canberra will be looking for.
That they will. That's the action coming up in this weekend's matches in the Women's National Basketball League. Well, one lady who unfortunately won't be taking any part in it is injured Bendigo Spirit star Renee Camino. She's still out with a calf injury, but I'm sure she's smiling, Stephanie Brantz.
She is smiling, but Renee, a bit of a change from up in Logan. How are you dealing with the temperature change first?
Yeah, not very well. It's freezing in here tonight.
It sure is. Laurie and I both have jackets that we're throwing on as soon as the cameras are off. Renee, you had a super pre-season, including an MVP in the Seaball comp. How frustrating is it to be on the sideline still to make your WNBL debut at the Spirit?
Yeah, it's super frustrating. After kind of coming into this group and really enjoying the pre-season, and it's been a great group. We've all moulded together well, and then unfortunately to go down the pre-season tournament and still out.
When can we expect to see you back?
Hopefully the next 2 weeks. So I'm not too sure. It's kind of see how it goes, see how fast it heals, and then go from there.
Well, there's been some exciting matches to watch. They've been tight tussles, but Bendigo's managed to tough it out, and they've got the points. It's been quite impressive to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the game's going just as Bernie and the team thought it would. I guess now from us, we just need to work at scoring, getting a bit more of the ball inside at Gabe, and then going back out, because I think defensively we're happy with how we're going.
Yeah, well, tonight it's another tough one. You always expect that, though, when you meet Bulleen.
Yeah, I mean, their group is huge. They've got so much depth and they're just so talented, so it's going to be a tough game.
All right, well, just quickly, Bernie in the sheds, what do you have to say? He's been pretty animated in the first half.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, actually. He was awfully positive, just said we haven't played our best for the first 2 halves and we're still within reach. So I think from here on out, just to put our best foot forward and go from there.
Great stuff. Renee Camino, thanks for chatting to us. We can't wait to see you back.
Cool, thank you very much. Cheers.
There is Bernie Harrower, and he's just been addressing his team in the sheds, as Steph Brand's called him. Well, the surrounds at the Veneto club are a little bit more salubrious than that, I would have thought. Steph better not let anybody in the bocce courts hear us say that, Laurie. They might be a bit upset with that.
Did you hear Renee's comments about wanting to get the ball inside to Gabe, which then will open up their shooters on the outside?
I must have missed those, Laura. So sorry about that. I might have been too busy listening to this remarkable soundtrack we've got playing here at the Veneto Club. We've had the Spice Girls, a bit of John Farnham at the moment, S Club 7. It's like the greatest hits of 1992. It's wonderful stuff here at the Veneto Club. The Bendigo girls will be feeling well at home, or at least Christy Harrower will be. She was listening to music back then. Most of the girls probably weren't born. There's Tom Maher. A few headaches for him and his coaching staff, Gary Fox and Michelle Timms. They've got a fight in their hands.
Well,
Great
they do,
game here.
and as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, that for Tom and this group, they're going to get better. For sure they are, and so, you know, they just need to be patient.
So the third quarter is about to start here at the Veneto Club, to the strains of Whispering Jack himself. Perhaps trying to fire up the crowd and tell them they're the voice behind these Bulleen Boomers, who have possession of the ball in the dark blue strip. They lead by 2. McDonald missed and Richards cleaned it up. Aubrey puts Bendigo back in to a tie of the lead. I thought it was a 3-point attempt, but it wasn't. It was only for 2. Squares it up at 35.
Such a simple play, but so well executed.
Beautiful pass and a great catch from Koenig. She can't finish. Bulleen a bit disappointed with that. Now it's 3-on-2. They've got to spread quickly. Pereira for 3. She really isn't noted as a 3-point shooter, Chantella Pereira. She's 0 for 3 now from beyond the arc. And in fact, last year her field goal percentage was just 28%.
Oh.
That's a wonderful cut, and you can't miss those, Chantella, and she didn't.
Again, Gab Richards, her vision, you know, they've spread the floor, they've got 4 out, 1 in, and they're just playing off of her. And that was a fantastic pass.
Bendigo leading by 2. I don't know how that's a foul. The Bendigo team can't believe it. We had the same view they did. You be the judge. What did Kelly Wilson do wrong?
Is it on Kelly Wilson? I think it was on Gabe Richards.
Okay. Just trying to see what our stat system tells us. Just taking a moment to update. So we might not know for sure until a little bit later on. 37 Bendigo, 35 Bulleen. We've gone nearly 2 minutes in the third quarter. game, round 2 action in the Women's National Basketball League. Trust you're enjoying our coverage on Grandstand. Pereira needs to go up from Wilson. That's always a bonus, isn't it, Laurie?
Well, that's tough. You've now made, Bulleen play 24 seconds of defense, and you still come up with a 3-point shot.
Oh, Pereira's knocked it away, but she can't reel it in.
Bulleen really just need to steady. They need to execute, get some good looks.
And Tom Maher wants to talk about it. In the opening 2 minutes 20 of this quarter, Bulleen haven't scored. Bendigo have added 7 points, and they've taken the lead. Bendigo lead at 40-35.
Go back to the 8 series, okay? Go back to 8 transition. You got that? All right. Now listen, if you think you need an all-purpose, you go to 85, which is a swinger and a flare, okay, or a catch. You understand? Okay. But you're pounding the ball as you get it up the floor. It's 15 dribbles from there to there. The defense is ridiculous. The defense has got no spirit. Okay? Now get in there and play hard. We got to do some hard work. Here we go.
Well, Tom Maher pretty upset with his Bulleen team at the moment. Laurie, what would you be telling them?
Well, I agree completely. I think the fact that he doesn't feel that they've got a high work rate on defense, that they're just expecting things to sort of happen. And this league is too high a quality for that. They've got to go out there and work for everything. They've got to start pushing some bodies around. And I'd really like to see them have a bit more of a presence inside on offense, too. They really aren't using their height advantage.
Koenig gets their first basket of the quarter. Bendigo led it by 3. They've got possession of the ball. Interesting that Jarry is guarding Harrower. Fascinating matchup.
Well, she has been all game, and it was like against Dandenong, they put a player with that's taller that can carry that hand.
Chantella Pereira is continuing to shoot that triple. Well done by Wilson. She slowed Jarry down for a moment. Rachel still aggressive, creates for Madge, and it's off target. Well done by Richards, and there's, well, it's getting pretty physical.
It is.
Pereira and Koenig tangled in that rebounding possession. The Bendigo bench pretty unhappy with Alice Koenig. Wilson now.
Wow.
Oh, she's on fire.
Just a nice little flare screen off that screen that was set, and her feet were great footwork.
If it was an NBA arcade game, Laurie, there would be flames shooting off the ball every time Kelly Wilson touches it. She's got 14 points. You've got to give it to her again. She's wide open. Harrower goes herself. Aubrey draws the foul. Bendigo are on a roll. They lead 43-37. Christie trying to draw the foul. She did enough. Just to, you know what she did there? She sucked Jarry in to thinking there was a call going to be made. And Jarry should have stopped, I reckon, for a second and was almost going to complain. And that was all that Christie needed to actually create.
Well, Christie is just so smart. She understands the game, the nuances of it, and just nothing gets by her.
Aubrey makes them both. She's a great free throw shooter, Chelsea Aubrey. 87% over the course of her career. And Bendigo lead at 45-37. We've travelled 4 minutes almost in this third quarter. It's a wayward pass from McDonald.
And the other thing is that she held it above her head for so long. Everybody in this whole stadium knew that that's the pass that she was looking to make, and the defense were well and truly able to adjust.
Oh, what a pass from Harrower to Richards.
That's that chemistry, Darren, that we talked about, just knowing how to get the ball to Gabe, when to get it to her. They really are playing as a team right now, Bendigo.
And it's glorious to watch. 14 points to 2 in this third term. Bendigo's way. 2-point deficit has been turned into a 10-point lead. And they'll get a chance to extend it further.
You know that Bernie Harrower's teams perform the best when they are executing and playing well as a team. It doesn't matter who scores for them. They're quite happy for anybody on the court to be their scorer. And that's when they're at their best, when they play this team basketball.
And when their defense is up, and we know that every coach would say that defense creates offense, but they can really put you under pressure at that end of the floor.
Well, as we said, they have no fear coming in playing Bulleen in their venue with a height disadvantage.
They beat Liz Cambage and the Bulleen Boomers twice in this venue last year. That was perhaps a little bit ambitious. And that's... They're not facing anyone of Liz's size tonight, but Holly Florence and Elise Penaluna are both significantly bigger than Gabe Richards, who's the biggest player for Bendigo. Scrappy offense from the Boomers, but it finishes in success.
I'd almost have to say that Elise Penaluna is their best player on the court at the moment.
In her first game back from a knee reconstruction.
Good call. Good call. Again, it's that use of a screen, and she just moved into her as she was dribbling off of it.
Offensive foul called against Gabe Richards. She takes a seat. She's got 3 personals. Bendigo leading by 8, 4.5 to go in the third. Koenig's aggressive with the left hand, lovely finish.
I like the way Bulleen are getting their feet in the paint when they penetrate. They're doing it with purpose.
Here's Garrick, youngster from country Victoria. Gave it off towards Munro, who was blocked.
Tell you what, Elise Penaluna is not just on the court, you know, putting in numbers and getting some miles under her legs. She is not being a spectator. She is having a big influence on this game.
Statistically significant, Penaluna. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 block shots, couple of assists.
Bit of a mini run here from Bulleen.
It absolutely is. They've scored the last 5 after the margin was at 10. And they've scored, obviously, the last 6 with Jarry making the back end of that pair. 3.5, sorry, just under 4 minutes to go in the quarter. Wherever you're watching, through ABC television or on a Friday night through our live stream, trust you're enjoying the coverage. We'll be with you right throughout the year. You can watch us on the Grandstand website live every Friday night or on ABC television on a Saturday afternoon. It's physical. Look at the mismatch inside. Penaluna and Harrower, they can't get her the ball. Well, they've drawn the foul. But Laurie,
that's the biggest and smallest player on the court.
you must have been yelling on the inside. Just have a look at this develop.
Well, having said that, Kelly Wilson did a good job of just hedging over and helping and making that passer indecisive.
Timeout called. Bulleen trailing at the moment by 4.
And you turn it over. Shoot the goddamn ball, okay? That goes for everybody. You've got to take it up underhand or take it up with a little baby hook. Right now, we've let them back into the game. We had it at 10, and now we've turned it over 2 or 3 times, and we've taken bad shots or not taken shots, and we've gone stagnant. Now you've got to get the momentum back again and stop them down the other end of the floor. Okay? Once again, everybody's hugging their man and doing the stuff that we weren't doing at the start of the quarter. We had people off and doing things. That's where we've got to be.
But it's got to start. Like, if Jerry's got the ball here, Hayley was up on there, and we're chasing. Why are we chasing out here when she's got the ball? Be here. If you're here, she can't see penetration. Then it's easier to close out instead of going here, here. Okay?
Hey, offensively, let's go with some shakes or some swinger, something that's got some movement in it. We need some movement. Okay?
So there are 3 minutes and 24 seconds left in the third quarter, and Bulleen have got themselves back into this game. They're 5 on the floor. Alice Koenig, Tess Madgen, Rachel Jarry, Elise Penaluna and Holly Florence. Probably the best 5 they can put out there. For Bendigo, not quite the same in terms of the quality. They've got only 3 of their starters. Wilson, Harrower and Aubrey, along with Garrick and Munro. Wilson couldn't stop Tess Madgen from connecting on that basket. Bulleen have scored the last 8. This is a great run.
Well, just what Bulleen want, and they needed this, Darren. It was looking like it was going all Bendigo's way for a while there.
Harawa breaks the run, as champions do. Her first basket of the quarter, and they force a turnover. Well done, Kelly Wilson and Munro as well. Garrick now quickly down the floor. Madgen wanted to foul her. Garrick did brilliantly not to get fouled, but couldn't quite finish. And it's going to be a Bulleen ball.
She's very athletic, Maddie Garrick, and we could see her just put on the burners up the court and wheel and deal, and then look around for a pass and decide to shoot it.
Two and a half to go until three-quarter time.
All of a sudden, Darren, it feels like the intensity of both teams has just lifted a little bit.
And Munro's been pretty good, Hayley Munro. First time many of our viewers will have seen her in action. She's made some pretty good minutes, particularly at the defensive end. She forced the steal then, forced a turnover. Look at Harrow tying Florence up in knots. Garrick's confident, but off target. Unfortunately for Florence, she couldn't grasp the rebound. Bendigo get another chance. Wilson's on fire. It's off target this time.
Another rebound. Nope.
It's going to be a Bulleen ball. Jerry wants some help. She gets it from Florence initially. Now Madgen. It's crowded there, so she retreats.
Wow.
Jerry off her back foot.
Really, she popped out of there, and the timing of the pass and the shot was superb.
High score in the game, 15 points, 7 rebounds. But Kelly Wilson leaps ahead of her. She's got 16 points with that basket. 70 seconds to go until three-quarter time. Anybody's game here on ABC Grandstand. Beautiful movement inside.
Well, Darren, we went from sort of a bit of a, grind type game and scoring here and there to all of a sudden up and down and scoring every time down the court.
In the last 2 minutes of action, we've had 5 scores.
Yeah.
Electrifying pace at the moment. Both teams have lifted. Harrower, well done by Madgen. She'll know her tricks. And she's an excellent defensive player as well.
Vision.
Great, well done by Munro.
Pass by Hayley Munro into Chelsea Albury, ready and waiting to score that basket under the hoop.
Madgen forces one up, and it's going to be... I think it's a Bulleen ball.
Not looking at, if you were to ask the Bendigo bench, they all certainly believe it was their ball.
And that's a foul on Munro. 2 tough calls in a row. Bernie Harrower is quite demonstrative.
Well, you don't see him this way very often, Bernie.
Looking at the support group for the Bendigo side, they're all keeping fairly quiet. The assistant coaches are fairly quiet as well, but Bernie is...
Well, they're not allowed to stand up. Only Bernie's allowed to actually stand
Really?
up. Yes. Is that a little tidbit you didn't know, Darren Boyd?
Didn't know that, Lauren. You're a font of knowledge and wisdom.
I just remember that because when I was an assistant with Brian Gorgon and I went to jump up one time and I was hastily made to sit down straight away by the referee saying only one allowed.
We'll leave that one well alone. 3 points is Bendigo's lead, and they have possession of the ball. 4-second differential between shot and game clock. So Bulleen will get an opportunity, and it might come sooner than they thought with Harrower firing that up, and that's oh no, it's a Bulleen ball. Gee, I thought Allen had stepped out of court as she grabbed that ball. There's all sorts of confusion.
Well, the referees are really under the pump right now.
Well, so are the players. There's only 7 seconds on the clock. Jerry didn't need to shoot it, but she felt confident. Ties it up.
Get
What can Wilson do? No time on the clock. Doesn't get a shot away. What a way to finish the third quarter. Controversial. That's a dodgy call. It went Bulleen's way, and they capitalised. Sorry, yes it did. It did go Bulleen's way, and they capitalised on it. Rachel Jarry buried the triple from the corner, and we're tied up at three-quarter time. Don't go anywhere. We've got a brilliant finish coming up on Grandstand. Well, Laurie, that was
what a finish.
Fascinating quarter.
It was, Darren. There were just so many intricacies to that quarter as far as the team that felt like they had the momentum, the scoring, where it was coming from. Both teams were, I thought, fairly hard-pressed early on to get some good looks. They were both executing really well. They were trying to drive, but shots weren't as comfortable as they were early on. And then all of a sudden, things just let loose, and from the three-point line, Kelly Wilson lit it up. Certainly, I thought Rachel Jarry had a very strong quarter. Good presence by Gab Richards inside, and it was very intriguing.
And we're going to have another look at that controversial finish to the quarter in just a moment, with Beck Allen appearing to step out of bounds as she grabbed a ball. And luckily for her and the Bulleen Boomers, they were able to keep possession of it, and it led to Rachel Jarry hitting a three to tie the ball game up. There are the numbers. 50% from the field. Bulleen shooting it at a pretty good clip. We've spoken all game about Bendigo living and dying by that three-point shot. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the last quarter. And both sides looking after the ball pretty well.
They are, Darren. And the other interesting fact is that neither team have gone to the line that much. The referees are actually letting these teams play, and we can see that there's only a total of 17 foul shots this whole game.
Okay, let's have another look at this replay, because this is after a Bendigo shot. Rebecca Allen steps out of bounds whilst holding the ball, and it doesn't seem to be any possible reason how that is a Bulleen ball. So down the other end, Rachel Jarry hit the basket.
I'm just trying to think if they called Maddie Garrett for pushing her out of bounds.
It wasn't a foul call. It was not a foul call, but we might have another look at it. Let's go. We might try and go back a little bit further on our next replay if we possibly can. But yeah, there's definitely. Anyway, we've got 1 quarter of action to go here at the Veneto Club, and scores are level. We expected a close game, and we expected a highly entertaining game, and it has delivered. Pereira finds Harrower. Bendigo surging in that third quarter. They started off with a 14-2 run in that third term. The opening 5 minutes of that term, the opening half of that term, and they took a 10-point lead into a timeout. But Bulleen were able to collect their thoughts, collect their emotions, and storm back into the game themselves and tie things up with 2 seconds to go in the third quarter.
Darren, it does not feel like a round 2 clash to me. It feels way, closer to let's see who's getting into the playoffs. The intensity's just lifted. Certainly the fans are in it right now, but as I said, these early wins are so important. While teams are still trying to find their rhythm, if you can get a couple of wins early, like we know Bendigo did on the road last week, it's so important.
And Bendigo, they're opening 4 games away from home, which is an interesting quirk in the draw. They're not thinking about that now, though. They're thinking about the win.
And Bulleen would be desperate to get, this is their first game on their court, and they'd be desperate for it.
Kelly Wilson's going to try and bring scores level. She can't do it. Great floor running and pressure by Tess Madgen. Allen comes up with the rebound. Not sure that was the best shot.
Not at all.
So Bulleen leading by 2. They're going to have possession because Bendigo with a rare turnover.
Well, the turnovers have been relatively low, I think, in this game for the standard that we're playing, for the amount of pushing the ball up the court. Right now, there's a lot of energy being spent, but I don't think there's been a score yet, has there?
At least Penaluna with a basket.
Yes.
Just one basket, so that's the only score. That's the lead. Oh, well done by Jerry. She wore the pressure. She wore the bump and was able to play through it. And now she can't believe that a foul's been called on her. Coming over the top in a rebounding contest is going to be called 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Substitution. Rachel Jarry's going to stay in the game.
Well, she
no
needs
foul
to
trouble.
stay. Yeah, no, she's not in foul trouble. She needs to stay in the game. She's got really good numbers. She's shooting at a high percentage. Her as we mentioned, her work rate's right up there. You know, they need her in that physicality.
3 fouls for Jarry, for Bulleen, and for Bendigo, 3 fouls to Munro and also to Richards. They're the only ones with any sort of foul issues whatsoever. Well done by Aubrey. Throws it away. Two-point lead still to Bulleen. Plenty of time left in this one. 7 minutes and 56 seconds. Kunik drives. Kunik earns a trip to the line. And it's not on you, Gabe, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Let's just move on with the rest.
Who was it? Was it called on Chelsea? Yeah.
Didn't like it, Laurie?
Well, I just, the way they've been calling the game so far, they haven't called that necessarily, so I don't want them to change the way they're calling anything, because I think they've done a great job so far.
And Alice Koenig steps up to the free throw line. Tom Ma, her coach, says that she's facing a defining year. She's had a good start to it. 17 points last week. She's got 12 so far in this match.
Well, we see Karen Harrington's come on the court, and that might be to free up Tess Madgen to go into that two-guard spot where she can become more of a scoring threat.
Bendigo with possession of the ball. They've dried up a little bit in the last 7.5 minutes of action. Harrow are trying to create. That's normally what they do when they are in a bit of a scoring slump. They go to Christie. It's 21-7 in the last 7 minutes of elapsed playing time. 21-7, Bulleen's way.
That was a good drive by Tess Madgen,
yes.
into Alice Kunik. Tess drew the defenders, and then Alice got that and went up really strongly, and they were forced to foul her. Much better from the stripe this week than last week, Bulleen.
Oh, horrible last week, Laurie, from the free throw line.
And in a game like this where
60%
it's
was all they shot.
Yeah, so close. You know, they're shooting at 79% this time. That could be the difference between a win and a loss.
And Bendigo's shooting it at 86%, but they haven't had anywhere near as many attempts as what Bulleen have. Here's Munro. Not even close. No reset on the shot clock, so Richards has to go up. Munro crashes the boards, and she'll shoot a pair.
Good second effort by Hayley Munro to follow up her shot.
What can you tell us about Hayley Munro, Laurie?
Well, she played in the under-20 state team a few years ago, and she's a versatile player. She can play inside or out. She, has that ability. She's strong. She's, got a good shot. And she goes hard. She's a hard worker.
Free throw shooting, good or bad?
Good. She'll get this one too.
We all know what's about to happen. Oh, she defeats the commentator's curse.
But net.
Beautiful stroke from Hayley Munro under pressure as well. Big moment in the game. Bulleen with possession of the ball. They lead by 4. Their first choice point guard, Karen Harrington, created for Jarry, who couldn't finish. The game's leading scorer couldn't add to her 18 points. But Richards added to her 10 rebounds. She's now up to 11. She sets the high screen for Harrower. Munro's playing good minutes. Back to Richards. Harrower, offensive foul. She threw Kunik out of there with an elbow.
That was a good read good anticipation by Alice Kunik that she was going to spin off of her.
Not much in it on that
much in it
replay.
at all.
And there's a timeout being called. It's been called by the Bulleen Boomers, who have a 4-point advantage. Bulleen 60, Bendigo 56.
Don't you get involved in complaining. You understand? Don't get conned into that. So you've heard me. Okay, now listen here. Bring the ball up the floor here, all right? And we're in some sort of stack here, all right? Actually, who's going to take the ball out of bounds? Rachel, okay? You kick it in here. We run the ball up the floor, all right? Now, we've got, Alice, you take it out. So Rachel's going to be here. This post player is going to be here. Kaz, you come to this side. Alice fills, right? Now we go here, we screen for Rachel, she comes here. Now unless that's a pull through, which probably it's not. We're going to go 71 here, okay? So you got to roll inside, okay? Okay? Yeah, you're down 71.
Okay, 71. Okay.
So 6.5 minutes to go in the game, and Bulleen with the advantage at home. They have the ball as well. They lead by 4, and Laurie Chiswick is alongside me, Darren Boyd. And Laurie, interesting that we've heard Tom Maher say to his team, don't get involved in any complaining with the referees. I'm not sure I heard him say that once last year.
Well, I think it's a really good message because, especially at this stage of the game when it's such a close one too, that, you know, think of the next play. Don't even try and, you know, referees aren't going to change their mind. They're not going to change their call, so just get on with it.
And I reckon that we could look back at what just happened there as potentially a big moment in the game. That was Gabe Richards' 4th foul. She's now having to guard McDonald under difficulty, and that's unfortunate for Harrington. She stepped out of court, but for mine, Richards has been, if not Bendigo's best player, then certainly their most important. 12 points, 11 rebounds. She's a target inside. They have to worry about her even if she's not scoring, and she needs to stay in the game.
Oh, absolutely, Darren.
She's got 4. She's wrestling with McDonald, who's a veteran. She'll put her under pressure. Bulleen win the ball back. Kunik charges down. Can't finish. Jarry. Who else?
What a rebound for Rachel Jarry to come up with. Hard drive by Alice Kunik, and then Rachel Jarry, that second effort, just going at it.
That wins your matches, Laurie.
It does, and you know what? It inspires your teammates as well, and you lead by example. If she can do that, everybody can do that on the team. Not that everybody would want to do that.
She misses with the free throw. 4 of 7. 57% for Jarry. She's the only player in the match who hasn't been exemplary, and that's a big push. Now that's Maddie Garrick, who's given a big shove to Jarry. I didn't see what sparked it.
Jarry gave her a little push as she went by, and
oh, you've got to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
Now let's have a look. That's a box out there, which, well, did Jarry try and trip her over or something? We didn't see that. Rachel, she has that look on her face regularly. She often looks miffed. But you know what? I reckon that's good refereeing. I mean,
yeah,
let it go.
Was. It wouldn't have been a good look if they had called a foul on that.
Well done, Melissa Andriola, trying to calm everything down. Let's have a look. Let's see if there's a little trip here. Ah, there it is. That's why Maddie Garrick got upset, and probably fair enough too. Block shot by McDonald. It's a Bendigo ball, 10 seconds on the shot clock. Gee, this is playing like it's the last 2 minutes of the match. There's still 5.5 minutes to go. Bulleen lead it by 5. They've got the momentum. Richards forced that one up, but made the second one count.
And there's her influence on the game. They need her to stay involved.
McDonald. She generally loves that range, but she's not in her best shooting form tonight. Wilson wanting some help. Harrower turning the corner, gives it to Munro, shows some faith in the rookie, if you don't mind.
Again, that is just the veteran experience of Christy Harrower, drawing the defense, recognizing that Haley Munro's got a nice little look at the basket. Good finish by Haley.
She's got an opportunity to bring scores level again. Laurie Chiswick said she's the greatest free throw shooter she's ever seen. She's unblemished so far in the match. And continues that streak. Halfway through the last quarter. And it's Bendigo 61, Bulleen 61.
I'm glad to see Elise Panaluna back on the court. I really think that she's had an influence.
Munro will dive on this loose ball. She needs to wait for support. Chooses to go herself, and it was the wrong decision. She mutters to herself under the breath. Chelsea Obery thinks there was a foul. I think most of the Bulleen Bendigo bench did as well. But scores are still level. Great game here on grandstand. Florence, short. Well done by Kelly Wilson to keep her body and her feet firmly set against Elise Panaluna and preventing her from jumping for that rebound.
Holly Florence is now 1 from 4, taking 2 threes.
Munro held up. Oh, poor pass from Harrower. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Well done by Panaluna. She's been brilliant again, Laurie. Jarry into Panaluna!
There's another alley-oop in there, Darren Boyd.
Don't worry about that knee. She is every bit as athletic as she was when she left this game 18 months ago.
I am so pleased for her.
Wilson trying to do too much here, and there's a reset on the shot clock. There was a reset on the shot clock. That is a terrible error by the score bench. That is a terrible error. There was no shot.
There was no, they change it when there's a change of possession, but there was no clear change of possession.
The Bulleen bench was screaming about that, and they're lucky, and they don't get this call either. The Bulleen bench are very upset. It's a Bendigo possession. Bulleen lead by 2. We're going to have another look at that shot clock issue when we can. As I said, my feeling was that it was a terrible error by the score bench. We're going to have another look at it now as Gabe Richards prepares to shoot a pair. So there's no shot. Shot clock counting down. Still counting down.
So what they did was they took it as Bulleen getting possession because they changed it there, but she didn't have clear possession.
So it's an error.
Yeah.
So Bulleen are right to be upset. But to their credit, they didn't give away a tech foul and they continued to play, but it has led to this scoring from Gabe Richards. She makes the first.
Well, this Bendigo would be used to this. They had 2 games like this last weekend where it came right down to the wire.
She misses the second. We can't forget, of course, that at the end of the 3rd quarter, Bulleen seemed to catch a lucky break with an error from the referees. I guess swings and roundabouts is appropriate, but don't worry about that.
They went into a bit of a zone there. Elise got the ball in the middle of the court. That turnaround jump shot is just so hard to defend. And she's got that, she's got the hops to do that too.
They lead by 3, Bulleen. Obery drops it, awkward pass. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Harrower, mismatch.
Oh.
Glides in.
That little runner for Christy Harrower.
37 years old and she's still got speed. Madgen dishes to Koenig, who needs to earn them from the strike. Richards is out of the game.
That's
Richards
going to be
is
crucial.
out.
That's going to be really crucial now. They can send Elise Panaluna right inside and let her go to work.
And Richards is going to the bench. She sits with 5 fouls, 15 points, 12 rebounds. She's been excellent, but is it enough? This forces them to restructure. Chelsea Aubry, she doesn't play the same game, does she, Laurie? Is the player who's coming. She's the player who essentially has to step into Gabe Richards' shoes down low.
Well, she does, and as I mentioned, Hayley Munro is now going to have to step inside to play that 4 spot. Now, what a mismatch that'll either be on Holly Florence or Elise Panaluna. We can see that they were in a zone. Whether they continue that or not is probably a good option for them.
8 championships for Tom Mark. He still has the competitive fires burning. We just saw a shot of him concentrating intently. His side leading by 3. Under 2 to go. Munro had lost her for a second. Aubry does good work outside. She might shoot over a hand here. She's going to have to get moving. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Harrower. Got to go, Garrick. She'll get another chance. She's got to be careful. Jarry was lurking. It's tense. It draws you in this game. Kelly Wilson's barely fired a shot in this quarter. She's got 16 points. Munro wants to go herself. Drives on Penaluna. She'll go to the line.
Good decision, because, I mean, surely this is Elise's first game. She's not going to quite have her lateral movement the way she would want it to be. And so that was a good drive, good contact, initiating the contact, Hayley. Now we see her at the line. See if she can continue her good form.
3 out of 3 so far from the free throw line, Hayley Munro. Looking very good at the moment. Gets the margin back to 2. Aubry, will she come up with it? No. It's a Bulleen ball.
I'll be interested to see if Bulleen try and go inside.
And if Bendigo stay in his own. They don't
No, they're
look
man
like
to
they
man.
are. They collapse on Madge and she's open. As Wilson fell over. 4-point lead now to Bulleen. They're creeping closer. Just a tick over a minute to go. They've barely shot a 3 in this last quarter, Bendigo. Can they pull one out now? Aubry's a target. Harrower. Will she go over Penaluna? Oh, yes!
My goodness! Because they don't have that inside presence of Gab Richards to be able to collapse the players.
And now the clock hasn't started. Not sure what's going on the bench. The clock took an eternity to start. That's what the crowd was shouting about. But Christy Harrower, let's have another look at it. She got Penaluna off balance and she drained the triple. She's got 12 points. It's a 1-point lead to the Bulleen Boomers. They've got possession of the ball. I think we'll just restart here with things as they are, but this is just a wake-up call for the referees.
Are they going to reset the clock?
Well, it looks, they've got it to 51. We're trying to work out what's going on. So it looks like they've reset the shot clock to 24 and the game clock to 50, which is how it should be. So Bulleen have it. And they lead by a point. They lost to Dandenong last week. Bendigo won both their games on the road. They beat Adelaide by this margin. They're on the tail end at the moment.
Oh, I'm not sure that was the best shot to take.
And Harrower searches now for the go-ahead basket. They'll want to take some air out of the ball and some time off the clock. There'll be plenty of time for Bulleen. 10 seconds on the shot clock now for Bendigo. They must score to go ahead. Wilson. Rebound to Maddie Garrick.
11 seconds
Shot
left.
clock is off. 8 seconds now. Harrower. Oh, yes. 4.9 seconds. Timeouts.
Oh, Christy Harrower.
Bulleen.
You are a legend.
She's put this team on her back as she's done on so many occasions before. She scored the last 5 points under all sorts of pressure.
And that's twice. Elise Panaluna has had a massive hand up.
We've got to get to Tom Maher to see what he's planning.
All right, and Holly there, okay? All right, you got that? Okay, now, we've got, Rachel's got the ball out. Okay, actually, Alice, you take it out. Rachel, you just bust off that. She's wide open, maybe. Okay, we don't have to rush, we've got 5 seconds. Okay, all right, now, as she goes, all right, you're going to come and set this screen here, all right? And she's going to go, right? Okay? So this is all when the ball's here. You got that? You come and get it here. Now, if it's a zone, it's up to you, this man here, to set the screen properly. You got to set the screen so that she passes in and she can cut here, she can cut here, she can cut back here. But you got to screen that defender so that she has a shot. Okay? Otherwise, you got to make it happen, Tess. Okay? All right?
You're over the foul limit. All you need to do is get to the foul line.
Great point from Gary Fox. They're in the bonus situation. Any foul is going to be a Bulleen ball from the free throw line. So they advance the ball to half court here, Laurie. And I love Tom Maher. We don't have to rush. We've got 5 seconds.
Well, exactly. He's diagrammed a really good play out. And, you know, we're going to see Rachel Jerry cut to the very corner. He said if she's open, take it right away. If not, let's get some screening action, get yourself to the basket.
They need a score. Otherwise, Bendigo win. Imagine Jerry for the win!
Oh!
Bendigo do it!
She got a shot away.
They've won the first 3 games of the season for the first time in their short franchise history. And it is a thriller on ABC Grandstand. The Bendigo Spirit triumph over a gallant Bulleen Boomers lineup. $70-69. What a thriller. What a game of momentum swings. And what a finish with Christy Harrower. Again the hero, Laurie.
Again the hero. This is the 3rd game in a row. That game against Adelaide they won, it was her pass into Gabe Richards that got it. Now this time, she did it off her own back. A 3-point shot and then a nice little drive and a pull-up. Wow.
And then Rachel Jerry, how will she be feeling right now? I mean, you know, these things happen in a game of basketball. You miss shots right throughout 40 minutes of action, but it's always those ones at the end that keep you awake at night.
Oh.
But you know, what more can you do?
Well, I mean...
She was superb, 19 points in the game.
Exactly, that's what I was just going to say. She'll just repeat that play over and over again in her mind, but the reality is that she was the best player out in the court there for Bulleen.
Well, Steph, Christy Harrower was superb again. 14 points, 6 assists, a couple of rebounds, and the leadership and the finish under pressure at the end. Look forward to hearing you chatting to her.
Yeah, she is an absolute legend. Christy Harrower, congratulations. What a final shot.
You know, I don't think I hit much all game. I couldn't get into it. I mean, they did a good job. They, you know, played Rachel Jerry on me, somebody bigger. They switched everything. Anytime I wanted to get to the hoop, they wouldn't let me, and I just had to shoot it. I just, you know, what can you say? I'm lost for words, really.
Did anything actually go through your head? You knew what an important shot that was.
Yeah, I suppose you don't think about that at the time. You just got to get a shot up there and hopefully it'll go in, or we get a rebound, and I think we did. I think Maddie Garrick got a rebound and we got another offensive set. But, you know, we've dug deep the last 2 weeks, come from behind all 3 games, and it just shows character of our group. And we play well together. We probably struggled a little bit in our offense tonight, but defensively we did a good job keeping them to 69.
Well, do you think those tight tussles are going to continue? Because, as you say, that's 3 in a row and you've pulled it out at the end every time.
Yeah, I know. I think last year we lost a lot of the close ones. Hopefully this year we'll keep going winning the close ones. I mean, we've got another tough one tomorrow night against Dandenong. I think they're one of the favourites to win it this year. Same thing, they're big, they're athletic, they're long, and we've got to make sure we do the right things tonight, recover. But, you know, I think just we're still missing some of our players. So, you know, it's a great start to the season for us.
Did you get a little bit worried when Gabe fouled out?
Yeah, you always do when Gabe fouls out. It's just the presence that she has on the court for us, and you know, she gets beat up every night and doesn't get the calls, and but she does a great job for us.
And also with such a big height differential between these two sides.
Yeah, I think Elise Penaluna coming in tonight, I think it really helped them, and you know, somebody that's 6'5" and so athletic and doesn't even look like she's been out for 13 months. So, you know, I think they had a lot more control tonight, you know, but I thought we did well defensively in the second half.
Just finally, Christy, it is only round 2. That game went like the clappers. How important was this win for you psychologically?
Oh, it was massive, especially because we've got to come up against Dandenong tomorrow night on a back-to-back. It's always tough, and you know, with Jenna O'Hay in there tomorrow night, I think it's going to be tough. But you know, every night we just come out and play the way we know we can play, and we pride ourselves on defence, and if we can keep teams to a low score, then we've got a chance.
Christy, you're an absolute legend. We love watching you. Good luck for your next one. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you very much.
Well, she is an absolute legend, and look, she's in every sense of the word a true champion. The respect that she pays to her opponents as well, and wonderful her comments on Elise Penaluna. It's probably almost a bit cruel that we're about to show what we're about to show, which is Christy with the game-winning basket over Elise Penaluna. It wasn't Elise's fault. She gets past Jarry. Elise did everything she could, and just that sweet, high-arcing shot. And then down the other end of the court, imagine they were drawn to her, and Rach knew it was off the moment it left her hand. Bendigo celebrating, devastation for Rachel Jarry. But just not Elise Penaluna. What a comeback it was. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 3 block shots, and her presence, as Christy spoke about, inside and I think just on the bench and around the team. It's such a boost for Bulleen.
Oh, I was so impressed the way she came out and the way she moved. She ran the floor. You know, her fitness will get better, but even now, you know, she made some good targets by running the floor. And as I said, she didn't spectate and just get some, you know, up and downs back and forth. She really had an influence on this game, Darren.
And the sky's the limit, really, for her. I mean, once she gets back fully fit, in terms of her ability, look at this athleticism. She's 193 centimetres. She can match it with the biggest players in the competition. She can match it and surpass the players that we've seen tonight, like Gabe Richards, obviously. She can go up against Jackson in a one-on-one contest. I mean, she could be, if she can harness that potential, she could be anything this year, and I love watching her play. Well,
and that's the way she was when she left off before her injury. Yep. And so it's great that she's back on board here. And as you said, she will get better and better. And I'm really excited for her. I'm pleased that, and especially on her home court. I mean, I know they didn't win. She'd be disappointed with that. But what a great comeback game for Elise Penaluna.
It was a great game all around, Laurie. There's no doubt about that. Let's look at the highlights right from the start of the match. And it was basket for basket after the early stages, where Bulleen went on a run, then Bendigo went on a run. The momentum swings were a bit funny as they traded baskets through most of the first and second quarters. What stood out as being the biggest positives for you for both sides?
Well, I really like the way both teams executed their offense. I think that's Bendigo's game, when they play a team game and they get the ball through a lot of people's hands. And certainly for Bulleen, I thought they looked a lot better than they did in week 1 against Dandenong, when a lot more people were involved. They weren't just settling for the easy shots. They were working a little bit harder on their offense and having more people involved. Having said that, I think Bendigo at certain stages really cranked up the defense and took Bulleen a little bit out of their game. But you know, as you said, the momentum just went back and forth, and the game was very intriguing.
And even like the third quarter, Bendigo came out and they absolutely looked like they had that game shot to pieces halfway through. Bulleen somehow came back. Even in the last quarter, it looked like Bulleen always had the edge until this lady stepped up, and that reaction tells it all, as does that one. Devastation for Bulleen, and they're overjoyed, Bendigo, as they should be. Those are the final numbers. What do they tell you, Laurie?
Well, again, we can see that Bendigo, you know, shot the ball from the three-point line. 29% is okay. They would have liked a little bit more, but we know that they're going to take a lot of shots out there. Foul shots, very, very similar. Offensive rebounds for Bendigo stand out for me, 15-7. Just gave them that opportunity to get second chance opportunities.
Some of the individual numbers, well, Koenig was good, Jarry was good, Penaluna we've already spoken about. And Tess Madgen, again, I thought was pretty impressive, but Holly Florence, not enough out of her.
Well,
and
and
Emma McDonald
too,
tonight.
both
No.
4 points between them. They're just going to have a little bit more. And then on the next side, on Bendigo Spirit, well, look at the spread of scoring there, dominated by Kelly Wilson and Richards and Harrower. They're big three now. Last games, that's what they were known for, and I think that's going to be the same this year.
Okay, so now for the Bendigo Spirit, as we think about what's still to come in this round. We know they've still got the Dandenong Rangers to come a little bit later on in the weekend. That is going to be a brutal encounter. I didn't see Mark Wright here tonight, but I'm sure he was around somewhere scouting this match. But anyway, we'll think more about that in a moment. Let's have a look at what's happening right now in the Women's National Basketball League, and that's up in Townsville, where the Fire are thrashing the Canberra Capitals by 19 points. Progress score there in third quarter. Kayla Standish, import for Townsville, 16 points at the moment in the match.
Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing her whenever we get to televise Townsville.
And this is what's coming up later this weekend. West Coast Sydney, Dandenong Bendigo, of course, Adelaide, Sydney, and Logan against Canberra. It's going to be tough for the Capitals to bounce back if they do, in fact, go on to lose that one in Townsville. Next weekend, well, really looking forward to this one as well. Great rivalry traditionally between Sydney and Melbourne, of course. The Flames up there. First time we're seeing them this year, hosting the Bulleen Boomers on Friday night. You'll catch the action live on our Grandstand webcast, streaming through the Grandstand website, and of course the replays on Saturday afternoon as well. Laurie, what a thriller it's been.
Wow, as we said, it didn't feel like week 2 of the WNBL. If we get more games like that throughout the season, it's going to be a fantastic one.
And the best part is we might even get Stephanie Brands back along at some stage if we keep dealing out quality like that. Steph, what do you think?
Absolutely, Darren. What an amazing match. We did promise them a blistering game, and that's exactly what these two sides delivered. Bulleen put up one heck of a fight, but ultimately it was Bendigo making it 3 from 3 to start their season. And if this, as Laurie says, is what the season is going to be like, you will not want to miss a moment. Join us next week when Bulleen head to Sydney, aiming for a win north of the border, and that game followed immediately by round 1 of the W League. We'll see you then, but for now, from all of us here, from me, Stephanie, Darren, Laurie, and the whole ABC team here at the Veneto Club, have a great weekend. Bye for now.